One agent is great, but some problems need a team. A swarm is several specialist agents working the same request, each with its own tools and expertise, with one of them owning the final answer. We'll build an investment committee, an analyst who runs the numbers, a risk officer who weighs the dangers, and a director who makes the call: buy, hold, or sell. A swarm is a group of agents that share one conversation. Each brings its own tools. Here, a financial analyst crunches the growth numbers with a compound growth tool. A risk assessor weighs the threats and returns a score. And an investment director synthesizes both into a verdict. The director is flagged "Use as final output," so whatever the director produces becomes the swarm's answer. 3 specialists, 1 decisive result. Let's build the specialists first. The financial analyst is an agent with one tool, compound growth, to compute a growth rate from a series of values. The risk assessor is another agent. It reasons about market and competitive risk and returns a score from 1 to 10. They're just 2 ordinary agents, each with its own system prompt. Nothing yet says they work together. It's the swarm that makes them collaborate. Now, the decision maker. The investment director is marked "Use as final output," and its generate memo is a final tool that returns a structured investment memo, a recommendation, a rationale, and a risk score. That pairing, use as final output on the agent, final tool on its tool, is what makes the director own the answer. Then we gather all 3 agents into a swarm and invoke it once. We pass force final tool, so the run ends on that memo. There are a few ways a swarm decides who answers, and what happens when they disagree. That's the next video. For now, this one configuration is all we need. Run it. Watch the swarm work the same request. The financial analyst computes the compound growth. The risk assessor scores the risk, and the investment director pulls both findings together and calls generate memo. One request, 3 specialists, and a single structured memo comes back. A clear recommendation, the rationale, and a risk score. Because the memo is a final tool, the result is typed. We read it from response.result, not as prose. The same swarm in mAIvn Studio. Send the request once, and you can watch each agent take its turn. The analyst, the risk officer, then the director, streaming into the conversation. Studio makes the collaboration that's invisible in the code visible. 3 agents contributing to one thread, and the director assembling the final memo from their work. 2 ideas to take away. First, a swarm shares one conversation across several agents, each with its own tools and expertise. Second, use as final output, paired with a final tool, decides who owns the answer. Here, the investment director. That's how you turn a panel of specialists into one decisive result from a single invoke. To recap, a swarm is specialists collaborating on one request, sharing a conversation, with a single agent owning the final answer through use as final output and a final tool. You invoke the swarm once, and the director answers. Next up, controlling swarm output. The handful of ways a swarm decides which agent and which tool produces the result, and what happens when they conflict. See you there.